Thank you, Ravi. So 2 years ago, I used to see Anil in Singapore as he was teaching at INSEAD. And I used to take some classes with him on how Indian companies were building business in China. And I especially, as I was building the TCS business, which we ran up to 3,000 people in 6 cities. I said, every time I go back to India, people ask me this question, how did you build this business? Because it is so difficult. And I said, I think I see a lot more Indian companies building business. When I come to India, I see Chinese companies building business. So beyond this whole space of political story, which normally one sees in the TV and the media, there is something going on. And actually we wanted to call our book Asia's Best Kept Secret, which is the first chapter of the book. Because no one knows that there are over 100 companies Indian companies in China, over 100 Chinese companies in India, and some of them have built very good businesses. So we said we should write about this. Also, I used to live in Hong Kong and Korea in the 80s, and I have seen the Chinese miracle. I used to go to China at that time, and I've seen the miracle from 1985. And I said, someone has to write about this miracle and the opportunities it throws up for Indian companies when we start getting global. So I think these were the two issues which were driving us to write the book. Now, we did not focus too much on the politics. So we said, let us take actually 5 case studies of Indian companies who actually build business. NIIT is one of them, TCS was the other, Jaguar Land Rover was one of them, Sundaram Fastener, and of course Mahindra Tractors, who are actually the 4th largest tractor manufacturing company in China. And NIIT has an unparalleled name. TCS is one of the largest IT companies there. So I think we had to showcase what they did. And simultaneously, we wanted to look at the Lenovos, the Haiers, the Huawei, the TD, who have built very successful businesses. We wanted to know how these corporate leaders were building businesses, their failures and their success. Not all of them succeeded. There were failures. And what were the causes? So it was like a do-it-your-own for lots of Indian managers who want to build business in China, and a lot of Chinese who want to look at India as successful. And one of the things we found, among many things that you will read in the book, is this whole chapter of mindset. And we start with this mindset, that if the corporate mindset gets affected by politics, then many people don't give China the importance because they have in their mind, it's too difficult, can we build it? You know, we are sometimes, in the media portrays us as antagonistics. So we wanted this to be a book which would actually showcase that the coming century is going to be where these two will build strong business. And the last chapter of the book is interesting, and we take the CII in that. We say, take 2020. There is a conference room in CII where 2 signings are going to happen. The first one will be the Chinese railways signing billion-dollar deals with the Indian Railway for fast trains and bullet trains. And on the other one will be a large Indian generic manufacturer who will sign with the Chinese Academy of Sciences a large deal where both countries will join together in R&D to produce oncology molecules, the cost of which will be half of what we see in the West for the Indian market, Chinese market, and for the third world markets. So I think that was how we end the book. And when you forecast where this relationship will go. We also forecast a very high level of investments, which the Chinese will make in India to offset their trade deficit. We forecast that the trade deficit will continue because still India does not become an export machine. India has little to export other than raw materials. So our view is that the Chinese investments will do 2 things. It will improve infrastructure. Today, Chinese power plant manufacturers, Dongfang, Shanghai Electric, have over $10 billion of orders from Indian power plant operators. And in fact, if India stopped giving orders, there would be problems on the other end. Similarly, for the telecom equipment manufacturers, Huawei and ZTE. So the Chinese export of capital goods in these two infrastructural areas has been very substantial, and it will continue to grow. So we see large investments. We also see large trade deficits. But India is at the stage where we are importing capital goods, and the Chinese in some areas excel. So we expect that this trade, the investments in the next 8 to 10 years will cross $25 to $35 billion. And we have based it on certain projections of how the Chinese outward investment is growing globally and how much of that would be in India. And our view is that is a conservative view. So this is a relationship set to take off. This is a relationship you're going to hear a lot more about. The commercial relationships, I think we only hear from the media the political issues. We never hear what is going on the ground and what are the things that you require to succeed in China and what are the things you require to succeed in India, in the business of India, in the business of China. And lastly, China will be always a supplier to India, a customer to India, a competitor to India, and a partner to India and third countries. I think we need to understand that. We need to separate the political issues and the commercial issues and see where these two big markets are going to grow. And if you see the last part of the title of the book, it says India and China will produce global champions, and if those global champions are winning in these two biggest emerging markets, then they can win in many markets. And this is a view which we actually got from some of the people in the West, saying this is a very interesting view, that if these companies can succeed in India and China, think of it, if JLR can succeed in India and China, if Lenovo can succeed in India and China, then they can succeed in a lot of markets. So those companies are getting stronger by winning in these markets, and that was the second part of the book. Thank you.